great day at the Academy of Scholars. Welcome to another episode of Scholarly Speaking Live with Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson, the Director of Student Success at the Academy of Scholars. I am Benny Crane Jr., the Assistant Director of Student Success. Today's topic will discuss helping your child resolve conflict.
Thank you for joining us for today's live session. No matter where you're joining us from, whether you're at work or at home, we pray that you're having a great AOS day and hope that you can visit us here on campus someday soon. So last week we talked about teaching your child empathy. This week we're exploring helping your child resolve conflict. But before we get started, Benny, where can our viewers watch today's live session once it's over?
Everything from this show ends up on our website, academyofscholars.com, including both the audio and the video versions. Now, if you prefer watching us each week, you can find the video version on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, LinkedIn, and Instagram. If you like listening to podcasts on your drive to work like I do, you can download the audio version anywhere you download your favorite podcast. Now, we want to take this opportunity to say hello to all the people who are joining us live today. Also, shout out to the people who follow us on our social media platforms. We see you, and we appreciate you joining us. Do us a favor, tell your friends we're on. All you have to do is hit that share button right there, comment, and tell us about how your child resolves conflict. Are they good problem solvers, or do they sometimes let emotion get the best of them when confronted with conflict? Tell us, we want to know.
So Benny, let's face it, conflict is a part of life.
Yes.
Everyone at some point in their lives faces conflict, and it's not a one-time thing. We earn our stripes in life based on how well we face, resolve, and overcome conflict. As adults, we expect to be faced with conflict, but what about for our children? How do we prepare them for conflict? And how do we teach them how to resolve conflict?
Now, this is a great subject, Stacy, because many adults don't handle conflict well. And the biggest culprit in resolving conflicts is feelings and emotions. Feelings of anger and or hurt usually accompany conflict situations. These emotions should be expressed and acknowledged, but it often happens in a way that's offensive to others, which hinders actually resolving the conflict. And as a result, children often see adults resolve conflict badly or do not see good resolutions to conflict at all.
And social media does not help.
It doesn't help at all.
So why is it important to help our children learn how to manage conflict effectively? Well, basically, as we said earlier, conflict is inevitable. We know that our children will encounter conflict at some point. So the best thing we can do as parents is to prepare them for that moment. Teach them the best way to resolve conflict. It's important for us to do that because it will allow our children to experience more fulfilling friendships and better social experiences at school, at home, and basically anywhere where they will have to interact with others.
I've always said the best gift that we can give our children as parents is the ability to live without us. Preparing our children on how to handle conflict is absolutely a part of this because it's only a matter of time when conflict and adversity will happen.
So true. So today, that is what we're going to talk about, how parents can help their children resolve conflict.
And just one more time, conflict is inevitable. But as ironic as this sounds, conflict is also desirable. Some conflict in childhood will help children discover positive ways to resolve disagreements, a skill that will benefit them throughout their lives.
That's right. So what can parents do to help their children develop conflict resolution skills? First, parents should model rich feelings vocabulary. With little ones, make sure you introduce words to name the feelings they may feel when dealing with conflict. We see this with our scholars all the time. Words like frightened, anxious, mad, scared, angry, worried, nervous, afraid, frustrated, confused, lonely, tricked, ignored, left out, embarrassed, mad, unimportant. We hear these words quite frequently from our scholars when we ask them to express how they're feeling. Having the words to name their feelings will help children be able to express themselves and identify how someone or a situation makes them feel.
And teaching children how to identify their feeling goes hand in hand with teaching them that when their emotions are high, like when they're angry or mad, is not a good time to problem solve to resolve a conflict. Helping them to put tools in their toolbox to calm down when faced with conflict can be crucial in helping them resolve conflict appropriately.
Second, as the parent, set the standard and enforce limits. Lay down ground rules for what is acceptable and what is not when solving disagreements. What behaviors will absolutely not be tolerated? For example, it is unacceptable to hit someone Or it's unacceptable to throw toys. Whenever aggression occurs, nip it in the bud. Tell your child, I won't let you hurt Joey, I won't let you hurt your sister, and I won't let him hurt you either. Think of another way to solve this. And if needed, tell your child what to do instead. You can tell your child to move away from the situation, or they can count to 10. They can use words to tell a person how they are making them feel.
Yes. And this could include word uses as well. Some people tend to use inappropriate or offensive language when they're faced with conflict situations. And you want to share with your children the impact this could have on conflict resolution and encourage them to only use nice words when they're calm enough to talk.
Use nice words.
Nice
You say
words.
this all the time. Third, and we say this as parents all of the time, encourage your child to use their words. Not grunts, not shoves, not hits, nods, or crying. Show your child how to use language to get along with others. May I sit with you and play? Is it okay for me to get a turn after you? And how to respond if someone doesn't respond nicely. My grandson's favorite thing to say to me when he's upset is, "No thank you, Nana." Just like that. This was usually in response to me telling him something that he didn't like to hear, like, "It's time to take a nap." So whenever he would say, "No thank you, Nana," I would respond with, "Tell me what's wrong." And he would tell me he didn't want to take a nap, or he didn't want to get ready for bed, or whatever the problem was. But he was using his words, which was the goal. When I asked his mom about why he uses the phrase, she explained that at his school, 2, 3, and 4-year-olds are encouraged to say no thank you to a friend when the friend says or does something that hurts their feelings.
That is brilliant. Like him saying, "No, thank you, Nana," today will lead to a well-articulated explanation when he's older, I'm sure. Now, sometimes we train children to be conflict averse, trying to avoid conflict. Like trying new foods is one of the earliest conflicts that you may get into with your child. And I know in some ways conflict avoidance helps to keep the peace, but it can have a negative impact on the person who uses this tactic, which can result in high stress levels, feelings of resentment, and can lead to making fear-based decisions. So your child being able to articulate in words how something makes them feel is extremely important.
That's so true. Now, fourth, help your child interpret their emotions. For example, say, "You seem angry. It's frustrating when someone takes a toy that you want. Is there another toy that you can play with while you wait for that one?" Use "I feel" statements and encourage your child to do the same to help them express themselves. For example, you can say, "I feel sad when you yell at your brother because it's not nice. Next time, I would like you to speak in a calm, quiet voice. Let's practice." That's the next step. 5, offer regular peer play to practice conflict resolution. That way, when a conflict does arise, your child has had exposure and coaching on how best to deal with it.
Parents, don't be afraid to rehearse with your child how to handle themselves in these kind of situations. You might think that practicing how to handle conflict is silly, and it might even feel silly when you're doing it, but it can really help when the moment of truth comes. So go ahead, just make a game of it. Come up with the silliest scenarios possible. The key is arming them with the right words to use when conflict arises.
6, giving young children choices when assisting in conflict resolution is helpful, especially for toddlers who can get caught up in their own tantrums. Interpret their behavior first. Screaming isn't helping. Here are 2 things that you can do, and give them a clear choice. This will cause them to calm down, focus, and follow through. Keep giving them reminders of the choices they have.
And don't be surprised or offended if they don't accept one of your choices right away. I encountered a crying scholar the other day, Stacy, and I went through my entire toolbox trying to get the scholar to calm down. And I was getting to the bottom of it too. Then the scholar's teacher walks through the door and says, "What's wrong, baby? Are you hungry?" And the scholar nodded her head and said, "Yes," and started to calm down. I was almost offended by that. Then she walked away with the teacher, leaving me standing there dumbfounded. So, long story short, this is not an exact science, but you have to give yourself a chance by having multiple tools in your toolbox in the same way you're trying to put tools in the toolboxes of your children.
Lastly, resist the temptation to solve your child's problem for them. When they turn to you for help, resist separating them or isolating them and telling them exactly what to do. Use guiding questions instead to encourage them to analyze the situation and think about options. Coach them in the basic steps of problem solving. First, give each child a chance to speak, Ask, what is the problem? Second, ask, have you already tried to solve it? How did it work? Is there something else that you can do? After brainstorming possible alternatives, analyze the pros and cons of each solution and come to a verbal agreement on what will work best and carry out the plan. If the problem occurs again, restart the problem-solving process and help your child make amends after problem solving. But make sure it's authentic and comes from the child. If it's authentic and comes from the child, they can apologize, but there are other ways that they can express their remorse. Ask, what would make your friend feel better? And guide them to an authentic answer that comes from them, not you. Well, what do you think? How do you help your child resolve conflict? How do you model effective conflict resolution? Did you learn something new from today's episode? Comment and let us know your thoughts on today's topic.
And if you're looking for more information to help you with teaching your child how to resolve conflicts, go to our website at academyofscholars.com/scholarly speaking resources. Also, we suggest you checking out the book Talk and Work It Out by Cherry Miners. This book provides clear, simple language and supporting illustrations to help children talk through and work out conflicts. Using this book, children learn to calm themselves, state the problem, listen, think of solutions, try one, evaluate results, and even agree to disagree when a solution isn't possible. Talk and Work It Out even includes skill building games and role plays for adults to use with children. And remember, no matter where you live in the world, you can give your child access to an exceptional Christian affordable education with the Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning. Not only does the Academy of Scholars give your child the opportunity to engage in school at their own pace, but we also provide a comprehensive curriculum with classes like coding and computer science that will have your child excited about school each day. The Academy of Scholars Premier Online Learning is the online school you've been looking for.
I hope you enjoyed today's live session. To learn more about our amazing school, the Academy of Scholars, please go to our website at academyofscholars.com. Join us next week where we'll continue our live discussions. Next week, we'll be talking about building your child's self-esteem.
That's a good
one.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time, I am Dr. Stacy Lambert-Johnson.
And I'm Benny Crane Jr.
Saying goodbye and